So, my garage has been quickly getting filled up with stuff, and I realized that I needed to do something soon before I got to the point where I couldn't park the car in here. But it's not just me though, because I came across a stat that was saying 20% of Americans can't use their garage for parking, but then another 47% face serious space issues in their garage. That's a lot of us struggling with garage organization. But don't worry, I think I found a solution that might help us all. Today, I'm going to be installing Husky ceiling shelves to transform my garage, and I'm going to show you every step on how to do it. So let's get that space back in our garages. But first, let's look at the tools and the materials that we need to get started. A stud finder, leveler, tape measure, 7/6" wrench, a rubber mallet, pencil, a drill bit that's going to help you anchor in the lag bolts, 3/8" wrench, and a 1/2" socket wrench, cordless drill, and of course, last but not least, a sturdy, well-built ladder. The first thing that we've got to do is clean out the area that we're going to be working in. We need to get all this stuff off these shelves and out of the way. I've enlisted some help to get this done quicker. The rest of the hardware is going to come in the box, so let's open it up and see what we've got. There are two options when it comes to assembly. There's a parallel installation where the shelving system runs along the joists and the ceiling, but I'm going to be doing a perpendicular installation where the shelves run against the joists. I was looking through the instructions that were provided. I realized that my initial plan of installing 2 of these shelves was not going to work exactly like I thought, so I had to take some time to go back to the drawing board. I ultimately decided that installing 1 rack would be sufficient for now. Those 27-gallon containers really do hold quite a bit. As you'll see, I was able to get 8 of them up on those ceiling shelves. Now we've got to find the ceiling joists. We've got to get our pencil and our stud finder out so that we can find these behind the drywall. If you've got exposed beams, this is going to be a really easy part for you. Make sure the holes are lined up with the center of the floor joists. We're going to drill straight into where those are marked. The depth of the hole needs to be about the same length as the lag bolt. Now that we've got those pilot holes drilled, let's get 2 lag bolts and washers out. This is where you're going to need your 1/2" socket wrench. But I quickly realized how slow that was going to be, so I grabbed my impact drill to speed things up. Now, if you do this, make sure that you take it easy, because you can damage the drywall by over-tightening. The brackets need to be flat against the mounting surface of the wall. When measuring the distance between the front and the back bracket, there needs to be 32 inches between the center holes. The opening in the center of the angled bracket is going to be wide enough to give you a little slack if it's not perfect. And I've already measured out 96 inches for that second angle bracket, so I'm going to repeat those steps. If the spacing of those joists do not match up with the assembly size of 72 or 96 inches, you're going to have to add some additional support. There should be a frame for every 16 inches because that's the framing standards. But if you're not sure how to install this with additional support, I suggest that you reach out to a professional contractor for assistance, or at least somebody handy that will know how to help you. Just remember that this shelf needs to hold a lot of weight, so let's make sure it's secure. Now you want to determine the height of the ceiling rack from top to bottom. You're going to join the upper and the lower posts with the holes of the determined height that you want it to be. I ended up setting mine at 36 inches. That's going to give you enough room to get these 27-gallon containers stacked on top of each other. But these two panels overlap each other, and so you're going to make sure that you measure them out to be exactly the same height. You can do both of these at the same time. When you bolt them together, make sure that they're on opposite holes. Now this is where I had a misstep. I had to backtrack, but it wasn't that big of a deal. With a perpendicular assembly like I was doing, you want to make sure that you bolt each of these posts facing inward. You're going to get a screw and a lock nut for each of these posts at the very top. The back side of the post should be facing in to the taper ends, and the post slots should be facing down. You want to repeat this assembly on the other side. Now we need to install the side braces. There's going to be two holes that are located on the outside of those bottom posts. Bolt each end of the side braces with 2 hex screws and a lock nut. When it comes to assembling the left and the right beams, I'm going to be assembling this at 96 inches. With installing the beam assemblies, you're going to be attaching both ends of the beams to the bottom of each slot in the post. This is where you might need a rubber mallet to tap it down gently, but they fell into place pretty easily for me. Once they're tapped into place, you're going to use another screw and a lock nut to lock them into place. Repeat the steps on all 4 ends of the posts. Even though it says it in the directions, I didn't end up needing a mallet. Here's a different look at those side panels. I'm giving myself about 4 inches from the wall. Now we're just going to tighten up these screws in the middle support panels. Once all the screws have been tightened down, it's time to put the wire shelf in. I didn't realize it at first, but there's 2 outside panels and 2 inside panels. There are some that have indentions that make it fit on the outside. Finally, it's time for our final inspection, and I'm going to start putting everything back in place. There are still a couple pain points, but I'm happy with the results. It feels so good to have some space back. Even though this project didn't turn out to be exactly like I'd planned, I realized adding just this one shelf has freed up so much space in my garage. It just goes to show that with a little planning and the right tools and a little bit of effort, it can make a huge difference when it comes to a project like this. I hope you found this video helpful, and if you did, you know what to do. Or do you? Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.